Hi everyone, welcome to Spiritual World. I hope your week is doing well. This week we're here to talk about slow productivity. I don't know, sometimes in your life, do you sometimes feel there is so much you have to produce on a constant basis? You're always flooded with work. That's why today I want to share with you the book by Cal Newport, Slow Productivity. Maybe it's also coincide that I think the notion of burnout. Now, when it comes to this book, you could think about it this way. Sometimes we're always running after different kind of deadline, but this book will allow for you to have different kind of tool set to really engage and to see how you could manage to do work more deeply with a lot more productivity. So in this case, Copernicus, now, he actually first started to get interested in astronomy at the age of 23 years old due to a comment that he read. But it took him another 14 years for him to write different kind of theories related to this. And then it took him another 3 decades to write the famous planetary motions book. So from that end, you would see that he had to go through a lot of reiteration. There's another case with Marie Curie. So Marie Curie is the case that she was looking for pitchblende. And pitchblende is an element that she found inside. And then she was almost near the breakthrough, but she was so tired, so she closed her flat in Paris, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna go on retrieval. And she just went to the mountain in the woods, and she decided to be there. And when she was there, she managed to take time to climb mountains, do a hiking, swim in the lake, and do things that she wouldn't do. And then later on, she came back to actually research more on pitchblende, and 7 years later, she managed to get the Nobel Peace Prize. We also have another case with the case of Jane Austen. So when she was a little kid, she lived in a farm in Stevenson where her father had a boys' school at a very young age. And then during then, not only she had to take care of a lot of farming chores, eventually she had to take care of boys' school, so she had to take care of the accommodation, making the bed, doing the food, and all of these. It was only at the age of 21 she got relieved from her duty from doing that because her father actually closed down the boys' school. And when it closed down, she actually found the freedom to actually write a lot of novels in the beginning. And actually, when she wrote it in the evening, she would actually read it to her family member. After that, she moved to Bath. During those few years, she actually had to do a lot of things. She was constantly moving in movement, so she never managed to do too much. So it was only at the age of 33 where her brother, Edward Knight, actually inherited an estate. So she actually went to live inside of one of the cottage. Inside of that cottage in Charlottetown, she actually managed to write Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudices, Manson Park, and also Emma. There was a lot of things that was being produced. So because she was freed out from the chores and the duties, except making breakfast, she could produce so much work. Unfortunately, those were the last few years of her life because she passed away at the age of 41. So from that end, you will actually see a lot of things in life. It happens in spurts, and it's not a constant productivity line. So if you look at the evolution of men, in the beginning we had power mills, and then afterwards we had factory workers. We were working long hours, then came in the union, so we got regularized, and we do 40 hours a work week. Then came in the knowledge worker. And the knowledge worker, they didn't have a way to quantify on the productivity, right? So what they do is they actually make us do pseudo activity because there's no way to quantify it. We still do 40 hours a work week in order to make it much more manageable. When you the story that we have seen in the past, there is always a period of rest and a period of movement. So you have to be much more slow in terms of productivity. Now, how do you manage slow productivity? So in order to achieve slow productivity, you have to swap out the pseudo activity with slow productivity mindset. First, how do you do this? You have to think, okay, I might not be task-driven, have to do something, go, but to approach and embrace being a bit slower in your day-to-day move, right? And then you also have to establish a 5-year plan. I know we often talk about that interview, but create a 5-year plan. Let's say right now you're going to do a project. This project, you don't know how long it'll take, but you have to curate out a period of time that you will have to do it. It could be a 4-year plan, it could be a 7-year plan, and it could be something that you elongated. Let's say we as human, we guess on timeline. So sometimes we might not be exactly very accurate when we choose our timeline. So when you choose it, you say, okay, I have this timeline set at this date. However, if I double up the timeline, let's say you have a timeline and you double the timeline, it gives you much more freedom, and also you have time to actually think and brainstorm. There will be moments that you'll be working on different things, and it will give you much more freedom to have that expansion to do the work that you are supposed to do. Let me give you an example with Cal Newport. With Cal Newport, what he did is he actually said, and he got accepted to be a doctorate at computer science at MIT. He's so smart. He actually has his first draft ready, submitted to Random House, because he told himself he is going to become an established writer when he will be ready graduating from MIT. So that's what he planned. So he told himself that, okay, during that period, there will be moments that I will be writing on different kind of brainstorming. I will be writing drafts. There will be period I'll be only focused on MIT work. There'll be period that I might be distracted. I will be doing other things. So he actually curated, he doubled down on the established timeline. So like that, he could achieve every goal that he set up for himself, right? So this way, meaning that he doesn't have so much pressure to achieve everything upon deadline. It's also very important for us to know that we should not always shame ourselves or belittle ourselves sometimes when we don't finish the timeline. So it's really important for you to be kinder and compassionate to yourself. When you don't finish the timeline, it's okay. Another thing that he said is simplify your day. Sometimes we're stuck with so many meetings, right? When we have so much meetings, what do? We just say, okay, we just run, and sometimes the whole day is flooded with meetings. What you could do is like you give yourself, like before noontime, you give yourself absolutely no meeting, and you do the work that's very important to you, like the deep work. Or you could do that if you have a meeting. So I have a 30 minutes meeting with you, and then I will give away another 30 minutes schedule for my personal time slot. And that personal time slot is for me to protect my time and do the work that I'm supposed to do, right? So like that, you'll have much more of a balanced schedule, and you have time to recreate the work you're trying to recreate, and also have the time to do the meeting, instead of you always swap like crazy, and then you have to work on the evening, you have to work on the weekends, you have to work on your vacations. So this will alleviate you much more, right? So it's a better approach to it. And sometimes what you could also do is actually to embrace the season. How do you embrace the season? So this is important for you to take that time back. And then we also want to think about a certain approach. You also want to carve out certain time for yourself. So for example, you have a very big project that's coming up, and you balance it off with a leisure project. Let's say you have a big paper to write, but you also enjoy to paint, and you enjoy to draw, or you enjoy to read, or you enjoy to do skiing or things like that. You spend 4 months on this big article that you have to write, and a big essay you have to write. You take that 4 months. After that, you take, let's say, 2 months of time to do skiing, to do something leisurable, to paint, and do something like that. You will off balance it, so your brain will feel much better, much more balanced, so you feel much more in check. is also at Space Camp. That's how they do it. So what they do, they take 6 to 8 weeks of very deep work. They do a lot of work, a lot of work, a lot of work, deep work. And then after that, they have 1 to 2 weeks of time where this company is actually going on more of a slower process. So they're slowing down their work. During that period, it's much more slower, it's much more reflective. You can do the work that you're supposed to do until the next big iteration comes. So like that, it will offset the balance, right? So like that, you could still balance your brain instead of having burnout and things like that. You can recalibrate your body in order to achieve the goal that you so want to create. And this is why I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope this will help you guys in terms of productivity and avoid some of the burnout that can happen on this journey. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.